to another installment of the Art of Computer Coding. The two coding languages I will be discussing today are XML and Swift. XML and Swift are essentially polar opposites in the world of coding, whereas XML is very old in the world of technology. Swift, by comparison, would still essentially be in its cradle. XML, otherwise known as Extensible Markup Language, was designed to be read easily by both humans and machines. Often it's used for distributing data across various operating systems as well as the internet. It is very important for all software developers to have a strong understanding of this coding language before emerging onto the field. Swift coding was created by Apple and is very much a building block type of coding that they've used for operating systems, apps, Apple TV, and even the Apple Watch software. It is a very flexible coding language that allows the developer to have a higher dose of collective freedom rather than having to adhere to a rigid coding structure, kind of like how HTML is. Swift is very modern compared to, let's say, JavaScript, and it's easier to learn. Now to answer what exactly is XML. XML has the reputation of being the most flexible coding language, and in my opinion, it's not wrong. This coding language is able to be built from the ground up depending on whatever situation a software developer has on hand. It can have unique tags, identifiers, elements, etc. meant for that current situation. XML is the descendant of SGML, Standardized Generalized Markup Language, that was created in the 1970s by workers at IBM, Charles Goldfarb, Ed Mosher, and Ray Laurie. While the structure is very similar to HTML having garnered its inspiration from XML, both of them are very different, and this language, though, is a great introduction to the more difficult web language of HTML. There are two structure forms XML can take: DTD, document type definitions, which is most similar to the HTML format, and the XML schema, which is more of a basic data organizing appearance, looking almost like a list. Now, Swift, though its development began in 2010, was introduced in its completion at the 2014 Apple Worldwide Developers Conference, and was created by a group of Apple engineers composed of Chris Latner, Doug Greger, John McCall, Ted Kremenek, and Joe Grolf. The intended purpose of Swift is to replace the older Objective-C, though until 2019, Swift and Objective-C were running intermingled in running operating systems from the Apple company. This coding language has been by far the fastest growing, as it has gained a worldwide open source support group, and it's a very young language when compared to XML, but it just shows how in the present day some languages are very quick to grow and evolve, while XML seems to remain timeless in the form it is now. Here on this slide, I've compiled a short list of resources I used when I was getting more detail about XML and seeing even examples of the different codings of both XML and Swift. The Swift Playgrounds app I have personally used, and I honestly even use it in my spare time just to venture further into the coding language. It's very good for beginners and even myself, who's kind of starting to tiptoe into the moderate territory, but still very good to revisit even if you are a pro. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please stay tuned for next week's installment of the Python coding language. If you liked this video, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to the Riverhead Free Library's YouTube channel, and feel free to watch our other videos from other departments and different age groups.